The Ravager fleet appeared like something from a nightmare. One moment, the space around Kepler Prime was empty except for stars. The next moment, 43 alien ships materialized out of nowhere, their hulls gleaming with a wet, organic shine that made them look alive. These were not ships in the way that humans or the Galactic Council races understood ships. The Ravagers grew their vessels from living tissue, breeding them like animals for war and destruction. The smallest scout ships looked like giant insects with wings that beat slowly in the vacuum of space. The larger cruisers had hulls that pulsed like heartbeats, with weapon ports that opened and closed like mouths. At the center of the fleet was something that defied description. The Queen ship was over a kilometer long and shaped like a massive worm with thousands of smaller vessels. Attached to its sides like parasites, its hull was covered in what looked like eyes, each one glowing with a sickly green light. As they watched, the Queen ship began to give birth to new attack vessels, pushing them out of openings in its sides. "Mother of God," Alex whispered, from his sensor station. His face had gone completely white as he read the impossible numbers on his screen. "Captain, I count 43 main vessels, but hundreds of smaller attack pods are launching from the larger ships." Jake Morrison felt his stomach drop, but his voice remained steady. "How long until they reach the station?" "At current speed, 18 minutes, Alex replied. The alien fleet that had been so confident and superior just moments before suddenly seemed much smaller and more fragile. Through the communication channels, Jake could hear panic spreading among the alien commanders. "All ships, this is Admiral Zeph Hahn on the Council Station," came a shaky transmission. "Emergency protocols are now in effect. All vessels retreat to defensive positions around the station immediately." Commander Sektar's voice crackled over the radio, no longer calm and mocking. "Admiral, our weapons are not designed for this kind of enemy. Ravager bioarmor adapts to energy weapons. The more we shoot them, the stronger they become." "Then, what do you suggest?" Admiral Zeph Hahn demanded. "We cannot simply let them destroy the station." Jake looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Ravager fleet. The alien ships were already moving toward the Council Station, but their formation was loose and unorganized. They were moving like a swarm of angry insects rather than a disciplined military force. "Lisa, what is our tactical situation?" "Commander," Grant checked her displays quickly. "We are currently between the Ravager fleet and the station. Our weapons are fully loaded and all systems are operational. But, Captain, even with what we just demonstrated, I do not see how one ship can stop 43 enemies." The Zephyrian fleet commander's musical voice came over the radio, but now it was high-pitched with fear. "Human vessel, you must retreat with the rest of us. Your brave demonstration was impressive, but this is a real battle. These creatures will tear your ship apart." Jake looked out at the beautiful alien ships as they pulled back toward the station. The graceful Zephyrian cruisers with their flowing lines and shimmering hulls, the angular thorac destroyers with their heavy armor and plasma cannons, the massive Velkari dreadnoughts that could house thousands of crew members. All of them were retreating. "Alex, give me detailed scans of the Ravager ships. I want to know everything about their structure and weapons." "Aye, Captain." Alex's fingers flew over his controls. The bioships appear to have living hulls that can repair themselves. Their weapons are some kind of acid projectile system. The larger ships are launching smaller vessels that appear to be designed for boarding actions. "Boarding actions," Jake repeated thoughtfully. "They want to take ships and crew alive." "Yes, sir. That matches all the intelligence reports about Ravager tactics. They prefer to capture rather than destroy, so they can use prisoners to feed their breeding programs." Lisa looked at her captain with concern. "Sir, the alien ships are right. We should fall back with them and help defend the station." Jake shook his head slowly. "No, Lisa. Look at their formation. Look at how they are moving." On the main screen, the Ravager fleet was spreading out as it approached. The smaller ships were racing ahead while the larger vessels followed behind. They moved like predators who had never encountered serious resistance, confident that their Prey would either run or surrender. They have never fought anyone like us, Jake said quietly. The aliens use energy weapons that the Ravagers can adapt to. They fight clean, precise battles with rules and honor. But humans learned a long time ago that in a real fight, there are no rules. The communication channel crackled to life again. This time, it was Ambassador Phillips calling from the council station. Captain Morrison, the aliens are asking us to evacuate. They say our ship cannot possibly stand against a Ravager hive fleet. Jake thought about all the times in human history when someone had been told that victory was impossible. When small forces had faced overwhelming odds and won through determination and superior tactics. The Battle of Thermopylae, the Alamo. The Warsaw Ghetto. Humans had always found a way to fight back against impossible odds. Ambassador, tell the Council that the Defiant will engage the Ravager fleet. Recommend all alien vessels protect the station and prepare for evacuation if necessary. Captain, are you certain? Phillips asked. These creatures have destroyed entire star systems. I am certain, Ambassador. Jake turned to his crew. Lisa, take us toward the Ravager fleet. Alex, I want targeting solutions on the largest bioships first. Focus on the Queen ship. Sir, Alex said, the Queen ship is over 1 kilometer long. Our weapons may not be able to damage something that large. Alex, what did we just do to that? Thorak cruiser? We destroyed it completely, sir. And how big was that cruiser? 300 meters, Captain. The bigger they are, the bigger the target, Jake said with a grim smile. Lisa, take us in. Full combat speed. The Defiant turned toward the approaching swarm and began to accelerate. Its engines glowed brighter as Lisa pushed them to maximum power. The ship's hull vibrated slightly as all systems came online for combat. Behind them, the alien fleet took defensive positions around the council station. Their weapons were charged and ready, but Jake could tell from their radio chatter that they expected to be fighting a hopeless rearguard action. Captain, Lisa said as she checked her instruments, the Ravager fleet is spreading out to surround us. They are trying to get us in a crossfire. Let them, Jake replied. Alex, range to the nearest targets? 100,000 kilometers and closing. The lead scout ships are moving very fast. They will be in weapons range in 3 minutes. Jake settled into his command chair and gripped the armrests. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. They were scared, he could tell, but they were also ready. This was what they had trained for their entire careers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jake said quietly, let us show these creatures what happens when they threaten our friends. On the council station, alien officers watched in amazement as the single human ship accelerated toward impossible odds. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others whispered prayers for the brave humans who were about to die. None of them expected what happened next. The silence after the explosion was deafening. Where the Defiance and the alien flagship had been, only debris remained. Twisted metal and crystal fragments drifted slowly through space like the remains of 2 ancient giants who had killed each other in battle. Colonel Pete Adams stood in the control tower of New Terra's main spaceport. Through the large windows, he could see the night sky lit up by the dying fires of the explosion. His hands shook as he held the radio microphone. Around him, his staff watched the alien fleet through telescopes and scanners. What are they doing? Asked Lieutenant Sarah Miller, his communications officer. Pete studied the tactical display. The 6 remaining Catherian battleships had stopped moving. They floated in space like sleeping whales. Their weapons were no longer firing. For the first time in hours, New Terra was not under attack. I think they're in shock, Pete said quietly. They just watched a single human ship destroy their most powerful vessel. That's not supposed to be possible. On the planet's surface, 15,000 colonists waited in the darkness. They had gathered at the spaceport as Captain Morrison had ordered. Families huddled together in the cold night air. Children asked their parents what the bright light in the sky had been. The adults tried to explain about heroes and sacrifice. Mayor Frank Turner walked among the crowds, trying to keep people calm. He was an old man who had seen a lot in his 70 years, but he had never seen anything like what happened tonight. A ship full of strangers had died to save his people. It was the kind of story that would be told for generations. "Mr. Mayor," called out a young mother holding her baby, "are we safe now? Are the aliens going to leave?" Frank looked up at the stars. The alien ships were still there, still dangerous, but something had changed. He could feel it. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but those brave people bought us time. Maybe that's all we needed." High above the planet, the Catherian fleet commander studied the wreckage through his ship's sensors. Admiral Zak Thul was old even by alien standards. He had conquered dozens of worlds for the Empire. He had seen countless enemy ships destroyed. But he had never seen anything like the human attack. The humans had known they would die. Their ship was damaged and outnumbered. They had no chance of victory in any normal sense. Yet they had charged directly into the fleet and destroyed the flagship through pure determination. "Admiral," said his tactical officer, "what are your orders? Should we continue the bombardment?" Zak Thul was quiet for a long moment. His crystal features reflected the light from the explosion's fading glow. "How many humans were on that ship?" "Our sensors detected 43 life signs before the explosion. 43 beings chose death over retreat. They died for strangers they had never met." The Admiral's voice carried something like respect. "In all our conquests, we have never faced an enemy willing to make such a sacrifice." The tactical officer seemed confused. "Sir, they are merely primitives. Their technology is inferior to ours." "Yes," Zak Thul agreed. "But their spirits are not. A race that will die for strangers cannot be easily conquered. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach to these humans." Back on New Terra, the escape pods from the Defiance were landing at the spaceport. Each small capsule carried 8 crew members who had evacuated before the final attack. They climbed out of their pods to find themselves surrounded by grateful colonists. Dr. Kevin Walsh had evacuated with the first group of pods. As the ship's doctor, his duty was to save lives, not throw his away. But he felt guilty about leaving his friends behind. He stood at the edge of the landing pad, looking up at the sky where his shipmates had died. A young girl approached him. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old. Her parents had sent her to thank the space people who had saved them. "Mister," she said in a small voice, "are you from the ship that saved us?" Kevin knelt down so he was at her eye level. "Yes, little one. Some of my friends are still up there." "Are they coming down too?" Kevin felt tears in his eyes. "No, sweetheart. They had to stay with the ship, but they wanted me to tell you something. They wanted you to know that you're safe now. That's all they cared about." The girl nodded seriously, as if she understood things far beyond her years. "Will you tell them thank you from me?" "I will," Kevin promised, even though he knew his friends could no longer hear anything. Hours passed. The alien fleet remained motionless in space. On New Terra, the colonists began to hope that maybe, just maybe, they would live to see another day. Then something unexpected happened. The alien ships began to turn away from the planet. One by one, they changed course and headed toward the edge of the solar system. They were leaving. Colonel Adams couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Sarah, are you getting this? The aliens are withdrawing." "Yes, sir. All 6 ships are moving away from New Terra. They're not even trying to finish their mission." Pete felt his knees go weak with relief. "Get me a channel to all colonial settlements. Emergency frequency." When the connection was established, Pete spoke into his microphone. His voice carried to every human settlement on New Terra. "This is Colonel Adams. The alien fleet is withdrawing. Repeat, the aliens are leaving our system. We are safe." Cheers erupted across the planet. In the spaceport, 15,000 people hugged and cried and celebrated. They had been saved by the sacrifice of 43 strangers. The crew of the Defiance had given their lives so that these people could live. But the story didn't end there. News of the battle spread quickly through human space. The tale of the last warship that fought 7 enemies and won through courage alone inspired people across the galaxy. Engineers studied the battle records to learn new tactics. Young people joined the military to follow the example of Captain Morrison and his crew. The wreckage of the Defiance became a monument that drew visitors from across human territory. People came to see where heroes had made their last stand. A memorial was built on New Terra with the names of all 43 crew members carved in black stone. But perhaps the most important legacy was the effect on the Catherian Empire itself. Admiral Zak Thul returned to the alien homeworld with a new understanding of humanity. He spoke to the Imperial Council about the humans' willingness to die for their beliefs, about their refusal to surrender even when facing impossible odds. The Catherians were a practical race. They conquered worlds for resources and territory, but they had never faced an enemy that would choose death over defeat. The implications troubled them. How could you conquer a race that preferred to die fighting rather than live in slavery? Slowly, carefully, the alien empire began to reconsider its war against humanity. Secret communications were established. Peace talks began in hidden locations. It would take years to achieve a real ceasefire, but the foundation was laid by the sacrifice of a single ship and its crew. Years later, when human children learned about the war in school, they always heard about the Defiance, about Captain Jake Morrison and his crew who chose to die rather than let innocent people be slaughtered. The story became legend, but it was a legend based on truth. In the end, 43 people had saved not just 15,000 colonists, but possibly all of humanity. Their sacrifice showed the galaxy that humans would never surrender, that they would fight to their last breath for what they believed in. The warship was gone, the crew was dead, but their legacy would live forever. In the stars, they had died to protect. In the children who grew up free because of their sacrifice. In the memory of a galaxy that learned what it meant to be human. The Defiance had fought to the last breath, and in doing so, had shown that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from living, but from choosing how to die. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace like a wounded animal. Jake Morrison gripped his captain's chair as the ship shook violently. Warning alarms screamed throughout the bridge. Outside the main window, New Terra hung in space like a blue and green jewel. But the beauty was ruined by what surrounded it. 7 Catherian battleships floated in formation around the planet. Each alien vessel was 3 times the size of the Defiance. Their hulls were made of strange crystal that glowed with purple light. Energy shields covered them like soap bubbles made of lightning. These ships had destroyed dozens of human worlds. Now they had come for New Terra. "My God," whispered Ben Hayes from his communication station. "Look at the size of them." Jake had fought Catherians before, but never this many at once. Never ships this big. Each battleship carried enough firepower to level a city. Together, they could turn the planet's surface into glass. "Status report," Jake ordered. Lisa Park's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Hyperspace jump damaged our port reactor. We're running on 60% power. Hull stress is at critical levels. One good hit might break us in half." Amy Chen moved to the tactical station. She was Jake's second in command, a smart woman who could think fast under pressure. Her fingers danced across the controls as she studied the enemy formation. "Sir, the Catherians haven't noticed us yet. We came out of hyperspace behind their fleet, but that won't last long. Their sensors will pick us up in maybe 3 minutes. Jake nodded. 3 minutes to plan an attack against impossible odds. He looked around the bridge at his crew. These brave people had chosen to die here. The least he could do was make their deaths count. "What's happening on the planet?" Jake asked. Ben adjusted his equipment. His face went pale as he listened to the signals from below. The aliens are scanning the surface, mapping population centers. I'm picking up civilian radio traffic. People are panicking. They know what's coming. Danny Rodriguez's voice crackled over the fighter bay intercom. Captain, my pilots are ready. We have 4 fighters left. Not much fuel and low on missiles, but we're ready to fly, Jake thought quickly. 4 fighters against 7 battleships. It was like sending children with rocks against giants with cannons. But sometimes the impossible was the only option left. Launch. All fighters, Jake ordered. Hit-and-run attacks on their outer ships. Try to break their formation. Draw their attention away from the planet. Yes, sir, Danny replied. Through the bridge windows, Jake watched the tiny fighters launch from the Defiance's belly. They looked so small against the massive enemy ships, like insects buzzing around elephants. Dr. Kevin Walsh entered the bridge. His medical uniform was already stained with blood from treating wounded crew members. Captain, I've set up emergency medical stations throughout the ship. We're ready for casualties. How many escape pods do we have? Jake asked. 6 working pods. Each holds 8 people. Jake did the math in his head. 43 crew members. 6 pods. Not everyone would make it out if the ship went down. But that was a problem for later. Amy Chen looked up from her tactical display. Sir, I'm reading massive energy buildup from the Catherian flagship. They're preparing to bombard the planet. Time until they fire? Maybe 10 minutes. The bombardment. We'll kill everything on the surface. Jake felt time slipping away like sand through his fingers. 10 minutes to save 15,000 lives. It was impossible. But impossible was just another word for something that hadn't been done yet. Maria, what weapons do we have left? Maria Santos checked her weapons console. 8 heavy missiles. 12-point defense missiles. Main guns are damaged but functional. Maybe 6 good shots before they overheat and shut down. Range to target? 200,000 kilometers and closing. The enemy ships were enormous. Even at this distance, Jake could see gun ports opening along their crystal hulls. Weapons that could vaporize mountains were turning toward his ship. Contact. The colony, Jake ordered. Ben opened a channel to the planet. Static filled the air before a voice came through. This is New Terra Control. Who is this? This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth ship Defiance. We're here to help with your evacuation. A long pause, then the voice returned, filled with hope and disbelief. Captain, this is Colonel Pete Adams, Colonial Defense Commander. We have 15,000 civilians here. No evacuation ships. The aliens will start bombing in minutes. Colonel, gather your people at the main spaceport. We're going to try something. Sir, with respect, you're 1 ship against 7. This is suicide. Jake smiled grimly. Colonel, we're already dead. The question is how many people we can save before we go down, Amy Chen suddenly called out. Captain, the Catherians have spotted us. All 7 ships are turning in our direction. Through the bridge windows, Jake watched the alien battleships begin to move. They turned with the slow grace of mountains learning to dance. Energy weapons began to glow along their hulls like angry stars. Danny, are you in position? Jake asked over the fighter channel. Roger, Captain. Beginning attack. Run on the port flank ship. Jake watched his fighters streak toward the enemy formation. Tiny sparks of light racing toward giants. The lead fighter fired its missiles at the nearest battleship. The weapons exploded harmlessly against the alien shields in bursts of orange. Fire. But the attack got the aliens' attention. Gun turrets on 3 battleships swiveled toward the fighters. Purple energy beams lanced out across space. One beam caught Danny's wingman. The fighter vanished in a ball of flame. Fighter 2 is down, Danny reported. His voice stayed calm despite watching his friend die. Continuing attack. The alien formation began to break apart. Some ships moved to chase the fighters. Others turned toward the Defiance. The flagship continued preparing to bombard the planet. Now, Jake said. All ahead full. Take us into the middle of their formation. Lisa Park's voice came from the engine room. Captain, are you insane? We'll be torn apart. Maybe. but we'll tear some of them apart too. Amy, target the flagship, all missiles, full spread. The Defiance surged forward. Ancient engines roared as the ship accelerated toward the enemy fleet. Jake felt the deck vibrate under his feet. This old ship had one more fight left in her. Purple energy beams reached out from the Catherian ships. The first shots missed as the aliens adjusted to the Defiance's sudden charge, but Jake knew their luck wouldn't last long. Missiles away, Maria reported. 8 trails of fire streaked toward the alien flagship. The huge ship's shields flared as the missiles impacted. For a moment, Jake hoped they had done real damage. Then the shields stabilized. The flagship was hurt, but still fighting. A purple beam struck the Defiance's port side. The ship lurched sideways as armor plating vaporized. Emergency lights flickered on the bridge. Hull breach on deck 7, Lisa reported. Sealing emergency bulkheads. Jake gripped his chair as another beam hit them. This time, the starboard engine took damage. The ship's acceleration dropped by half, but they were in the enemy formation now. Close enough to see details on the alien hulls. Close enough for their damaged guns to hurt the enemy. Fire all weapons, Jake ordered. The Defiance's main guns spoke. Plasma bolts hammered into the nearest battleship. The alien shields flickered and sparked. One bolt got through and blasted a crater in the crystal hull. We hurt them, Amy said with satisfaction. But now all 7 enemy ships were firing at the Defiance. Purple death reached out from every direction. The human ship twisted and turned, trying to avoid the beams. Some shots missed. Too many hit. Home. The bridge filled with smoke as control panels exploded. Ben Hayes cried out as sparks burned his hands. Dr. Walsh ran to help him while still trying to coordinate damage control. Engine room to bridge, Lisa's voice was strained. We've lost the port reactor completely. Starboard reactor is overheating. I can give you maybe 20 more minutes of full power. 20 minutes. Jake looked at the tactical display. The aliens were regrouping. The fighters were still buzzing around the outer ships, but they couldn't last much longer. The flagship was still preparing to destroy New Terra. Time was running out. For his ship, for his crew, for 15,000 innocent people on the planet below. But Jake Morrison had never given up a fight in his life. He wasn't going to start now. Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of the UES Defiance. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The ship felt tired around him. Everything looked worn out and beaten. Sparks flew from broken control panels. Red warning lights blinked on and off like angry eyes. Jake stopped at the big window that looked out into space. Stars filled the darkness beyond. But he knew that somewhere out there, alien ships were hunting them. The Catherian Empire had been, chasing humans across the galaxy for 3 long years. They destroyed every human colony they found. They killed millions of people. The Defiance was the last human warship still fighting. All the others were gone, destroyed in battles across distant worlds. Jake had commanded this ship through 12 major fights. Each battle left them weaker. Each victory cost them more than they could afford to lose. Lisa Park climbed up from the engine room. Her face was dirty with grease and sweat. Her uniform had burn marks on it. She was the best engineer Jake had ever known, but even she could not fix everything that was broken. "Captain," Lisa said. Her voice sounded tired. "The fusion reactors are barely holding together. We have maybe 6 hours before they shut down, completely. The hull has so many patches I lost count. One more big hit and we might break apart." Jake nodded. He had expected this news. The Defiance had been fighting for too long without proper repairs. Earth was too far away to reach for help. They were alone out here in the dark. Ben Hayes sat at the communications station. He was young, maybe 25 years old. His hands moved quickly over the controls. Static filled the air as he searched for signals. Most human colonies had gone quiet. The silence meant only one thing. The aliens had found them. "Sir," Ben called out. His voice cracked with worry. "I'm getting something." It's weak, but it's definitely human. Jake walked over to Ben's station. Put it through the speakers. The voice that came through was broken and full of fear. This is New Terra Colony calling any human ships. Please respond. We have 15,000 civilians here. Catherian battleships just entered our system. They will be here in 8 hours. We have no defenses, no way to fight them. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. The bridge went quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing. New Terra was a farming colony on the edge of human space. Jake knew the place. Good people lived there, families with children. Old folks who had worked hard their whole lives to build something peaceful. How far are we from New Terra? Jake asked. Ben checked his instruments. 7 hours at maximum speed, sir. Jake felt a cold weight in his stomach. 7 hours to get there. The aliens would arrive in 8 hours. They could make it just in time to watch the colony die. Or they could try to fight. Lisa came up beside him. Captain, we don't have the weapons to fight a Catherian battle fleet. Our missiles are almost gone. The main guns are damaged. We might get off a few shots before they destroy us. Dr. Kevin Walsh, the ship's doctor, looked up from his medical station. Those are 15,000 innocent people, Captain. We can't just leave them to die. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people. They had followed him through hell and back. They deserved better than to die in a hopeless fight. But those colonists deserved to live too. Options, Jake said simply. Maria Santos, the weapons officer, spoke first. We could run, head back toward Earth, try to warn them about the Catherian advance. Maybe they can prepare better defenses. That leaves New Terra to die, Ben said quietly. Or we fight, Lisa added. Take the Defiance in and do as much damage as we can, maybe slow them down. Give the colonists time to escape. In what ships? Dr. Walsh asked. Farming colonies don't have evacuation fleets. Those people have nowhere to run. Jake closed his eyes. He thought about his duty as a captain, his duty to his crew, his duty to humanity. The weight of command had never felt heavier. Sir, Ben said softly, the colony is transmitting again. This time, a different voice came through. An older man who sounded calm despite the fear. This is Mayor Frank Turner of New Terra Colony. We know our situation is hopeless, but we want to thank any human ship that might hear this. We lived free, under Earth's flag. We raised our children in peace. We had good lives here. If this is the end, we face it with dignity. Earth forever. The transmission ended. Jake opened his eyes and looked at his crew. He saw their faces. These were military people. They had signed up to protect humanity. Every one of them knew what that might cost. All hands, this is the captain, Jake said into the ship's communication system. Report to the main cargo bay in 10 minutes. Full crew meeting. 20 minutes later, Jake stood before his remaining crew. Once the Defiance had carried over 300 people. Now only 43 remained. Some were bandaged from recent battles. Some were so young they barely looked old enough to be away from home. Others were veterans with gray hair and tired eyes. You all heard the transmission from New Terra, Jake began. 15,000 civilians are about to die. We are the only human warship in range to help them. But I won't lie to you, this would be a suicide mission. The Catherians have at least 7 battleships. Each one is bigger and stronger than us. Our weapons are nearly gone. Our ship is falling apart. He paused and looked at each face. I'm giving you a choice. We can run. Try to reach Earth and fight another day. Or we can go to New Terra and make our last stand there. Either way, the Defiance will probably never see home again. But if we go to New Terra, we might save some lives. We might give those families a chance. Jake waited. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Danny Rodriguez, one of the fighter pilots, stepped forward. Sir, I didn't join the military to run away from fights. Those people need us. One by one, the rest of the crew stepped forward. Engineers and doctors, pilots and gunners, young and old, they all made the same choice. They would go to New Terra. They would fight. Jake felt proud and sad at the same time. These brave people were choosing to die for strangers. That was what made humans special. That was why they deserved to survive this war. Set course for New Terra, Jake ordered. Maximum speed. We have a colony to save. The Defiance turned toward its final battle. Behind them, the stars watched silently as humanity's last warship sailed toward glory and death. 1 year after the encounter with the Devourer fleet, the galaxy looked very different. Captain Alex Murphy walked through the corridors of Titan Station, which had grown from a secret shipyard into humanity's largest military complex. The sound of construction filled the air as workers built more ships based on the alien technology. Captain Murphy, the new vessels are ahead of schedule, reported Admiral Kate Sullivan as they toured the construction bays. We now have 12 ships of the Defiance class operational, with 8 more under construction. Alex nodded as he watched the massive hulls taking shape. Each ship was slightly different, as human engineers continued to improve the alien designs. What about crew training? That is our biggest challenge, Admiral Sullivan replied. We have enough volunteers to crew 50 ships, but training them to use this technology takes time. The alien systems are still complex, even with our improvements. They stopped at an observation window overlooking the main assembly area. Below them, workers were installing the primary weapons on a new ship that would be called the UES Vengeance. The energy cannons were larger than the ones on the Defiance, designed to punch through the strongest shields in known space. Any word from Earth Command about the diplomatic situation? Alex asked. Mixed news, Admiral Sullivan said. The good news is that most species are now treating humanity as a major power. Trade agreements are being signed, border disputes that have lasted, decades are being resolved in our favor. And the bad news? The Galactic Defense Coalition is growing. 15 species now, all dedicated to containing human expansion. They are pooling their resources to build new weapons designed specifically to fight our ships. Alex was not surprised. Fear made people do desperate things. The galaxy had learned that humanity possessed devastating weapons and the will to use them. Some species wanted to join them. Others wanted to destroy them before they became too powerful. What about the Vorthak? Alex asked, completely withdrawn from human space. Intelligence reports say they are building new ships in secret, but they have not attacked any human colonies in 8 months. I think we scared them more than we expected. Dr. Sam Phillips joined them at the observation window. He looked tired, but excited. Alex, we have made a breakthrough with the alien artifact. We found records of other civilizations that fought the Devourer fleet. How many others? Alex asked. At least 40 different species over the last 1,000,000 years. Most were destroyed completely, but a few survived by hiding or running away. The Keth Tar were the only ones who actually fought back and won battles. Until they lost the war, Admiral Sullivan pointed out. That is the interesting part. Sam continued. According to the records, the Keth Tar did not lose because they were weak. They lost because they tried to fight the Devourers using traditional tactics, formation battles, defensive strategies, trying to minimize casualties. Alex understood immediately. They fought like civilized beings instead of predators. Exactly. The Devourers are used to fighting species that follow rules of war. They are not used to fighting species that are willing to do anything to win. Admiral Sullivan looked thoughtful. So, our advantage is not just our weapons, it is our willingness to use them without restraint. Among other things, Sam replied. But there is something else. The artifact contained construction data for other types of ships, not just warships. The Keth Tar built vessels that could travel between galaxies, ships that could hide entire star systems, technology that could manipulate time itself. Alex felt excitement building in his chest. How Much of this technology can we reproduce? With our current understanding, maybe 20%. But as we learn more, that percentage will grow. Give us 10 years, and we might be able to build ships that make the Defiance look like a toy. They were interrupted by the sound of alarms. Red lights began flashing throughout the station. "All personnel to battle stations," came an announcement over the intercom. Unknown ships detected at the edge of the system. Alex and Admiral Sullivan ran to the command center. The main display showed tactical information from long-range sensors. 6 large ships were approaching at high speed. Their energy signatures were familiar, but wrong somehow. "Ship classification?" Admiral Sullivan asked the duty officer. "Vorthak design, Admiral, but modified. They are much larger than standard Vorthak vessels and showing energy readings we have never seen before." Alex studied the display. The approaching ships were definitely Vorthak, but they had been changed somehow. Enhanced. "Admiral, I think the Vorthak have been busy during their withdrawal." Agreed. "How long until they reach weapons range?" 40 minutes at current speed. The Defiance and 3 sister ships are in system. Should we call for reinforcements? Admiral Sullivan shook her head. "No time. Alert all ships to prepare for combat." Alex was already heading for the door. "I need to get back to my ship." "Alex," Admiral Sullivan called after him, "be careful. If the Vorthak have found a way to counter our technology, this could be a very different kind of battle." 20 minutes later, Alex was back on the bridge of the Defiance. His crew was at battle stations, ready for whatever was coming. The other human ships, UES Liberty, UES Freedom, and UES Justice, were moving into formation around Titan Station. "Sensor report," Alex ordered. 6 Vorthak heavy cruisers modified with unknown technology, reported Dr. Rachel Green from the science station. "Energy output is 3 times normal for ships that size. And Captain, I am detecting something." "Else?" "They have some kind of energy absorption system similar to what the Devourers used." Alex felt his stomach tighten. The Vorthak had learned from the encounter with the Devourer fleet. They were trying to copy the alien technology that made those ships so dangerous. "Communication from the lead Vorthak ship," announced Chris Taylor. "Put it through," Alex said. The view screen showed a Vorthak bridge that had been heavily modified. Strange new equipment filled every surface. The Vorthak commander looked different too. His exoskeleton was enhanced with mechanical parts that glowed with energy. "Human vessels," the commander said in accented English. "I am War Leader Kextar of the enhanced Vorthak fleet. You have humiliated our empire for the last time." "War Leader, you are approaching a human military installation without permission," Alex replied. "Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Kextar's mandibles clicked with what might have been laughter. "We studied the wreckage of our ships from your previous attacks. We learned how your weapons work. Now we have built ships that can absorb your energy and use it against you." "You are welcome to try," Alex said calmly. The Vorthak ships opened fire first, but instead of trying to avoid the human vessels, they deliberately moved closer. Their enhanced hulls began to glow as they absorbed energy from their own weapons and from the station's defensive systems. "They are feeding on energy just like the Devourers," Rachel reported. "Every shot we fire makes them stronger." Alex smiled grimly. The Vorthak thought they had learned humanity's weakness. They were about to learn they had only discovered one of humanity's strengths. "All ships, cease energy weapon fire," Alex ordered. "Switch to kinetic weapons. Let's see how well they absorb a missile traveling at half the speed of light." The human ships stopped using their energy cannons and switched to physical projectiles. Missiles, railgun rounds, and simple chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The Vorthak energy absorption systems were useless against solid matter. The first Vorthak ship was destroyed within seconds. Its enhanced hull could absorb energy, but it could not stop a missile from punching a hole clean through it. The second ship tried to maneuver away, but human targeting systems tracked it easily. "Sir," The remaining Vorthak ships are retreating, reported Major Sarah Johnson. Let them go, Alex said, but make sure they know they were beaten by simple human stubbornness, not advanced technology. As the battle ended, Alex realized something important. The galaxy was learning to fight humanity by copying their weapons and tactics. But they were missing the point. Human strength was not just in their technology, it was in their ability to adapt, to find new solutions, to refuse to give up no matter what. Chris, send a message to all human colonies, Alex ordered. Tell them the Vorthak tried to copy our technology and failed. Tell them that no matter what weapons our enemies build, humans will find a way to win. Looking out at the stars, Alex knew this was just the beginning. Other species would try to match human technology. Some might succeed partially, but they would never truly understand what made humanity dangerous. It was not their ships or their weapons. It was their refusal to accept defeat, even when facing impossible odds. That was something that could not be copied or stolen. The galaxy was learning to fear humanity, but they still did not understand what they were really afraid of. 3 weeks after the Galactic Council session, Captain Alex Murphy stood in his ready room aboard the UES Defiance and studied the intelligence reports spread across his desk. The galaxy had changed dramatically since their victory at Proxima. Some changes were good, others were deeply troubling. "Captain, Admiral Sullivan is ready for the briefing," announced Lieutenant Chris Taylor over the intercom. Alex gathered the reports and walked to the main conference room. Admiral Sullivan was waiting for him on the large view screen along with Dr. Sam Phillips and several other Earth Command officials. "Admiral," Alex said as he sat down, "I have read the latest intelligence summaries. The situation is more complex than we expected." "That is putting it mildly," Admiral Sullivan replied. "Let me start with the good news. The Vorthak Empire has withdrawn from all contested border systems. They are calling it a strategic repositioning, but our sources say their military leaders are terrified of facing another ship like the Defiance." "What about the other species?" Alex asked. Mixed reactions. The Kepler Republic has offered a formal peace treaty. The Aquarian systems want to establish trade relationships. Even some of the smaller Vorthak client states are asking for protection under human authority. Alex nodded. These were positive developments, but he could see concern in Admiral Sullivan's eyes. "And the bad news? Several species are forming a military alliance specifically to counter human expansion. They call it the Galactic Defense Coalition. The Zentari Empire is leading it, along with the Altarian Federation and 12 smaller species." Dr. Sam Phillips leaned forward on the screen. "There is something else, Alex. We have been analyzing more data from the alien artifact. We found historical records about what happened to the Kethtar civilization." "Go on," Alex said. "The Kethtar built multiple ships like the Defiance. They had a fleet of over 50 super dreadnoughts. They should have been unstoppable. But they were destroyed anyway," Alex said, "by the Vorthak." "No," Sam replied. "Not by the Vorthak. The historical records show that the Kethtar were winning their war against the Vorthak Empire. They had pushed the Vorthak back to their core systems. Complete victory was within reach." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. "Then what destroyed them?" "Something from outside the galaxy. The records call it the Devourer Fleet. Ships that fed on energy and grew stronger with each battle. The Kethtar superweapons only made them more powerful." Admiral Sullivan looked grim. "Sam, how long ago did this happen?" "According to the records, approximately 50,000 years ago. But here is the troubling part. The Devourer Fleet operates in cycles. They sweep through galaxies, consume everything, then return to deep space to hibernate." "How long are these cycles?" Alex asked, though he was afraid of the answer. 50,000 years, Sam replied. The conference room went silent. Alex felt the weight of what Sam was telling them. Humanity had announced their presence to the galaxy with weapons that could be seen across vast distances. If something was watching from the dark spaces between stars, they had just lit a beacon. "Sir, incoming priority message," Chris Taylor's voice came over the intercom. "Long-range sensors are detecting unknown contacts at the edge of the system." Alex stood up quickly. "How many contacts?" "Multiple signatures, sir. Very large. And they are not matching any known ship designs." Admiral Sullivan's image flickered as the communication link struggled with interference. "Alex, get your ship to battle stations. We will send reinforcements as soon as possible." "Understood, Admiral. But if these are the ships from Sam's records, I am not sure reinforcements will help." Alex ran to the bridge. His crew was already at their stations. The main view screen showed long-range sensor readings. 12 massive contacts were approaching from the edge of the solar system. Each one was larger than the Defiance. "Size estimate on those ships?" Alex asked Major Sarah Johnson. "At least 3 kilometers long each, sir. Energy readings are off the scale. And Captain, they are accelerating. They will reach us in 2 hours." "Any response to our communication attempts?" Alex asked Chris. "Nothing, sir. They are not responding to any frequency." Alex studied the tactical display. 12 unknown ships, of enormous size with energy signatures beyond anything in known space. If these were the same ships that had destroyed the Kethtar civilization, the Defiance might not be enough. "Sarah, what are our tactical options?" "Limited, sir. We could try to run, but their ships are faster than ours. We could fight, but 12 against 1 are bad odds even for us." "Sir," Dr. Rachel Green called from her science station, "I am detecting something strange about their energy signatures. They are not consistent. Some ships are much more powerful than others." "Explain," Alex said. "It looks like they feed on energy, just like the record said. The ships in front are the largest and most powerful. The ones in back are smaller and weaker. They might be scouts or recently awakened vessels." Alex saw an opportunity. "Sarah, could we target the weaker ships first? Maybe disrupt their formation?" "Possibly, sir. But if we attack them, the larger ships will definitely respond." Alex made his decision. "All crew, this is the captain. We are about to face an enemy that destroyed one of the most advanced civilizations in galactic history. But we have something they did not have. We have human stubbornness and the willingness to try tactics that no sane species would attempt." He turned to Tony at the navigation station. "Plot a course directly through their formation, maximum speed." "Sir, that will put us within weapons range of all 12 ships," Tony said. "Exactly. Sarah, prepare all weapons. When we reach the center of their formation, fire everything at the largest ship." "Sir, are you sure about this?" Sarah asked. "No, but running will not work, and fighting defensively will just delay the inevitable. Sometimes the only way to win is to do something so crazy that the enemy does not expect it." The next hour passed slowly. The unknown ships continued their approach. No communication, no demands. They simply moved toward the human ship with mechanical precision. As the two forces closed to weapons range, the alien ships opened fire first. Energy beams unlike anything in known space struck the Defiance's shields. The bridge shook violently. "Shields down to 60%, reported Chief Betty Walsh from engineering. "These weapons are draining our power faster than we can regenerate it." "Now we know how they feed," Alex said grimly. "Tony, execute attack run. All speed." The Defiance accelerated directly toward the center of the alien formation. The enemy ships increased their rate of fire, but the human vessel's speed and maneuverability kept them from landing solid hits. "In range of the lead ship," Sarah announced. "All weapons ready." "Fire everything," Alex ordered. The Defiance unleashed its full arsenal at point-blank range. Every energy cannon, every torpedo, every weapon system fired simultaneously at the largest alien vessel. For a moment, the area around the enemy ship was brighter than a star. When the light faded, the alien ship was gone. Completely destroyed. But the remaining 11 ships had stopped firing. They hung motionless in space, as if confused. "Sir, the alien ships have stopped their attack," Chris reported. "They are sending a signal. It is coming through on all frequencies." "Put it through," Alex said. A voice filled the bridge. It was mechanical, emotionless, but somehow ancient. "Small ones, you possess weapons of the Makers. You destroyed our lead vessel. This has not occurred in 50 cycles. This is Captain Alex Murphy of the UES Defiance. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." "We are the Harvest Fleet. We consume. We grow. We return to the void. But you carry the Maker's fire. You are not food. You are Makers." Alex exchanged glances with his crew. "We are humans. We found technology left by the Kethtar and adapted it for our own use." Kethtar. Yes, they were Makers too. Strong Makers. We consumed them when they grew too bright. But you are different. You made their weapons stronger. You fight like devourers, not Makers. Sarah leaned close to Alex. "Sir, I think they are saying we fight like them, like predators instead of prey." "Is that why you stopped attacking?" Alex asked the alien voice. "We test all Makers. Most fail quickly, some fight longer. All are consumed eventually. But you destroyed our lead vessel with Maker weapons. This makes you Hunter Makers. Very rare." "What happens now?" Alex asked. "Now we learn. If you are true Hunter Makers, we retreat and return in 50 cycles to test your children. If you are merely lucky, we consume you now." Alex realized this was some kind of test. The alien fleet was waiting to see what humanity would do next. Run and prove they were cowards? Stay and fight impossible odds? "We are Hunter Makers," Alex said firmly, "and we will be ready when you return." The alien voice was silent for a long moment. "Interesting. Your weapons carry Maker's fire, but your spirit is Devourer-born. Very interesting. We will mark your species as Hunter Makers and withdraw. Do not disappoint us when we return." One by one, the alien ships turned and accelerated toward the edge of the system. Within an hour, they were gone, leaving only empty space and unanswered questions. "Chris, send a priority message to Earth Command," Alex said. "Tell them we just met the species that destroyed the Kethtar, and we have 50,000 years to get ready for their return." As the Defiance returned to normal operations, Alex looked out at the stars and wondered what humanity had become. They had